Alright, so let's talk about AWS rules, right? So as we discussed in one of the videos that AWS rules provide a blueprint, it is a prototype which is used for providing the AWS services certain sort of actions, right? Now we are going to demonstrate the same, and in order to demonstrate the same, I just have launched one Ubuntu VM from AWS EC2, and we are going to demonstrate the same on this one, right? Now the problem statement here is, now let's say if I ask you to list down all the users which are present on your AWS account in your CLI, so what would be you do, right? You are going to create one user, assign the user with the sort of permissions, right? Or even you can add him to an admin group. Then once the user is created, you will download the access key and private key, and then you will configure it using AWS configure. And then you are going to list the user AWS IAM list users, right? So this is one approach. Now, secondly, now let's say if I say I won't be able to provide you with the SSH key, and you need to do it on web browser. What you'll do, you'll just create the user again. You will be having the access key and private key. You are going to launch the instance directly on the web browser, and then you will configure it. But don't you think so? It is very malicious to write and share that access key and private key so openly, right? Even if you're working on EC2 instance, we need to be more, our concern should be related to the security, right? So what we are going to do here is we are going to make use of rules here. So what we are going to do is basically whenever you are going to configure it, it will ask you for access key and private key. But since we are within the AWS service itself, we are within the AWS account, it should not ask us that thing. And how will that happen? We are going to assign this specific service that role. And by doing so, it will be possible. Now let's demonstrate the same. I'll just boot up the machine. I'll just connect it on my web browser. Make sure that port number 22 is exposed so that it won't cause any sort of error while running the VM. Okay, let's just wait for a moment until it establishes the connections. Now see, this is our console. Let me just zoom it a little bit so that it is easier for you to look down. Okay, clear. Okay, now what will you do? Like, you just create a new user and then you are going to share the different thing, right? So first of all, let's check whether we have the AWS CLI installed or not. So whenever you run this thing, since we are within the VM, it is already pre-installed, pre-configured, not pre-configured. So like, you just need to list the user, right? But you don't want to share the uh, access key and the password, the secret key, right? So now let's say if I run the command AWS IAM list users, it will throw an error. Why? Because it is unable to locate the credentials. But what is the second method? How we can list the user without even sharing on credentials? Because we are already inside the VM, right? And we are already inside our AWS account or AWS service. So that thing can be done by using AWS IAM. So let me duplicate this tab, right? And yeah, let's go to IAM first. Okay, in IAM you can see there are already two roles defined. Let's click over there. So those are the default roles that we get from AWS. That is, one is AWS service role for support and AWS service role for trusted advisor. Here we are going to create a new role. So click on create new role, and we are going to allow the service like EC2 to access the other platform from this account, right? So what are the use case? So basically, the service that we are going to use here is EC2. Okay, and what we want to do is we want EC2 to do a action on behalf of us, right? And what permission we want to give, right? So as I mentioned earlier, the less the permission given, the more the security enhanced. So we just want to list the user. So I'm just going to give IAM full access, right? So next, role name, it would be IAM role. Okay, just for now. And this is the policy which is created for it. We just tell that the effect that it's allowed. Okay, and then what are the principle that it would be following, because we are applying it on Amazon EC2. Okay, next thing that we want to do is we can add a tag for identification, but if not, we can just directly click on create role. So it is saying that invalid name, the role name cannot contain alphabet characters or any of the following. All right, no worries. So what we are going to do, we are going to just write it like this. create role, and it is creating the role for us. Now the role is created. Now what we are going to do is we are going to go back again to EC2, locate our instance. Here is the Ubuntu server, and go to actions, security, and then we are going to modify the IAM role. Here by default no IAM role is attached. We are going to add the new one, which is the IAM role which we created. Click on update IAM role. Now it has the IAM role with all the sort of permission that it need to list the user. So let us go back to EC2 instance, and now let us rerun the command again. AWS IAM list user, and as you can see, all the users which are present on this account is been listed over here. Since we only have one user, which is terraform hyphen user, which we created earlier, it is listing that user only, right? Now what if I remove the IAM role from this EC2? Let us test that as well. Again, go to action, security, modify IAM role. Okay, and just we are just going to remove it, right? So either you can go here and select no IAM rule, or you can delete the IAM rule. But since we are just testing, we're just going to remove the IAM rule. So let us update, and we are going to write detach over here. So it will remove the existing role which we added, right? And if you can go again and go to security IAM role, you can see there is no role attached as of now. Now what I'll do, I'll just run the command once again, and it will throw an error, and it is showing that unable to locate credential. You can configure credentials by using AWS configure. So I hope you got the use case, the gist of the video, what actually we are trying to do. What we wanted to do is we wanted to do a certain sort of action, because we were inside an AWS service, and we don't want to share our security credentials with that. So what we did, we added an IAM role to the specific service so that it authenticated on behalf of us, and it was able to access the information from the different services from AWS, right? I hope you got the gist of this video, and see you in another one. Thank you.